away from 38. The kick is no good to the right. He pushed it wide. Play action. Little pass in the middle of the end zone is intercepted in the back of the end zone. Overthrown for Cooper and intercepted in the back of the end zone by the safety, Kevin Byard. Four-man rush. They get through and they hit him in second. Down he goes at the 10. Prescott in the gun. They blitz. Pick up the blitz. Lots of time. Now he's hit. And he is going to be sacked, and the ball comes out. The ball comes out at the Dallas 40. One, back to throw. Running up the middle to the 10, to the 5. He walks the dog. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Not what anyone expected on Monday Night Football with the Tennessee Titans coming to Dallas. We all picked a win.
We did.
Easy win.
We did.
So here we are at 3-5. It is Tuesday here on Cover 4, guys. We got to talk about it. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. We're going to feel all of the emotions with you. David, please, I know you're going to lead the charge in that.
Yeah, Lindsay, you usually give me a good segue. I'm going to return the favor for my girl Tay Stern over here because this is uncharted territory for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not exaggerating when I say that was one of the 5 or so worst losses I've seen in my time covering the team. For further on just what it means, yeah, throw it over for Taylor.
I like that you said it was uncharted territory, Dave, because it's actually not. I looked it up. In 2012, the team, led by Coach Garrett, started their season off 3-5. They went on to finish that season 8-8. Now, I hope history doesn't repeat itself, but it is election day, so who knows?
Yeah, it may not repeat itself because they may not actually get to 8-8. But this team had 15 days on the bye week to get it together, and it looked like they came out there and was worse off than they left the Washington Redskins game. There's a lot of finger pointing to go around, but it probably starts with the guy at the top for not having this team prepared to play on Monday Night Football.
Hindsight is always 20/20 here on Cover 4. We're going to look back. Let's all talk about the plays and the things that were bothering us. And with Dak Prescott, one week it's one thing, another it's another. It's the offensive line. It's needing new receivers. But, guys, just Dak protecting the ball for me was what seemed to be the problem with the fumbles that have been happening week after week and then another really costly interception.
Two turnovers and an interception that honestly swung the game. You have a chance to go up 3 scores in the first quarter there. It's Dak's 10th game with 2 turnovers. Just not what you want to see. And honestly, like I said, an ugly loss all the way around, but this is certainly one of the poorer performances in recent memory for him. I know he finished with a 99 quarterback rating. If you watch the game, that doesn't tell the story. I mean, that's obvious.
1-9 is the record in those 10 games for Dak Prescott.
That's one of the strengths of his is that he is good with ball security. He doesn't turn it over. It has been so good for this team. It hasn't been happening recently.
All right, so hindsight 2020, it's always easy to look back and say, well, this play, why'd we do that? Or why'd they do this? Or who would do that? And I feel like play calling is low-hanging fruit sometimes, but I think fans at this point, guys, are just wanting to see something different, maybe something that even a Tennessee Titans defense won't stop.
Or even a Philadelphia Eagles play that they wanted to see at the end of the game. We saw their Dallas special, but I was talking about it with Dave earlier, and I think we both agreed that it seemed a little too late when they did that creative play calling.
It's a weird time to pull out the reverse receiver throw to the quarterback. Like maybe earlier in the game, or maybe when you're not down 14 with 2 minutes to play. But to get back to Lindsay's point, I mean, I'm in the stadium, I can't hear it, but if Jason Witten and Booger McFarland are calling out your plays, predicting what you're going to be running, that's not a good look.
And that's the most frustrating part with this team when you look at the play calling situation. It sometimes feels like this coaching staff doesn't have a good feel of the game. And I mean, just sometimes coaching and play calling, it becomes a feel of the game. And one guy's on the field and one guy's on the booth. It just seems like it's night and day about where these guys are trying to figure this thing out. And the feel for the game just isn't connecting.
This offense doesn't have rhythm and hasn't really all year long.
Well, and they wanted that to come behind the offensive line, which is the next thing we're taking a look back at. Stephen Jones said over the bye week he wanted to, they wanted to provide a spark by getting rid of Paul Alexander and promoting Mark Colombo. But did you guys see a spark at all from how they've been playing?
I think early on there was a bit of a spark. But the one thing about this Cowboys offense is they struggle against defensive lines like this. athletic defensive line where guys are moving and stunting. That's been the Achilles heel for this Cowboys offensive line all year long. And so the Titans just did what they normally do, have Jarrell Casey and moving those guys all around that defensive line. It creates problems for the Cowboys offensive line because they have some positions with Joe Looney, who's been playing well, but when you're playing alongside Connor Williams, who's a bit of a smaller offensive lineman, those bigger guys begin to move the offensive line. So a lot of times that offensive line is starting a yard behind where they actually started at when the snap of the ball.
It was shocking to me to see, you know, Zeke had 36 yards after 2 possessions. Cowboys moved right down the field. Dak had all the time in the world through the first few drives of the game, and then it all just went away. And I think a little bit of that is on the quarterback. I don't think Dak was decisive enough, but clearly this offensive line had problems blocking these guys, and it showed up. I mean, and it was the same thing we've seen through several of these games so far this season.
Something we haven't seen. Let's talk Cowboys defense. The Tennessee Titans came to AT&T Stadium. Their offense ranked 30th or 31st in every major category. I predicted for bold predictions a Cowboys shutout last week. I mean, that's how confident I think I was with this defense, and they started off strong, but I think for once we saw they weren't going to be the ones to deliver the striking blow.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think you're right,
the offense
Lindsay.
needed the defense to do more.
You're right, Lindsay. Even Jerry said it today on The Fan. He said that the defense just looked to be tired in the second half. Well, easy to do when you've been out there the entire game. I mean, the first half, the sparks that we were seeing really came from them and having their production on their side of the ball. It's just sad to see the fact that they can't get it done all the way throughout the game.
You talk about the spurt at the start of the game, Jesse. Same thing with the defense. 2 takeaways in the first 10 minutes of the game. Looked like world beaters. I don't know what happened after that. I think tackling was an issue, coverage was an issue, which I was surprised. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're missing some guys on your defensive line.
You're missing 2 major guys. I mean, no one really has talked about the fact that David Irving and Randy Gregory are out.
Case in point, though, this is one of the worst offenses in the league that came in here. I would like to think that you could hold them below.
You're right.
And those 2 guys haven't had significant parts of this defense this year because they've been in and out all year. But the thing that they do give you, they give you a rotation. And they have a rotation on our defensive line that gets fresher guys in there so they can get after the quarterback more often. And having those 2 guys out now had guys in there playing, you know, a guy who may have played 15 snaps all year is now playing 30, 35 snaps in the game. And sometimes your body's just not ready for that.
Let's talk a little bit about what he said yesterday or this morning and what he actually meant. Yes, this morning, Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan, y'all. Let's just get a little refresher.
Is he your quarterback for the next 10 years?
Listen, Dak is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He's young, and he's going to get extended.
That's the emotion of this game speaking right there. And I'm not trying to say that Dak Prescott is not going to get extended. Jerry Jones sounded defiant right there, saying, stop talking about my quarterback. This is my guy. And he has been a staunch supporter of Dak throughout the season, so this shouldn't be surprising to hear. I wonder what it actually means for the long term. I mean, okay, he's going to get extended. When? How much money? What is that actually going to look like? I think it's way too soon to say, but I think Jerry Jones is tired of hearing people criticizing his quarterback.
Salesman got to sell.
Yeah.
Next up, what he said, Dak Prescott.
It's disappointing. I mean, we just didn't get the job done. We all got to do better, and it starts with me. It starts with me first all the way throughout this whole team. So, I mean, very disappointed, as you said, coming off the bye week. Cleaned things up. Felt good going into this one, and as to come out with this loss to be 3-5 was very disappointing.
I don't think anyone was surprised for Dak's reaction after the game. We know that he's the quarterback of this football team. He is going to take the majority of the blame, put it on himself. He says that he's the leader and they have to do better. I think that people just want to see that in consistent ways now. You know, that's fine for Dak to stand up there and be that guy for the team. It's just frustrating that we can't see that in the actual production of the game.
While you speak of production, his first game as a Dallas Cowboy, Amari Cooper, here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the offense, some of the stuff that I did in college, so it works. It definitely works. Like I said earlier, we just didn't capitalize on some of the things that we should have capitalized on as far as, you know, scoring when we were in the red zone. We definitely left some points out there, and you know, they went ahead and, you know, continued to fight, and they had a good game, so that's why they won.
The thing that Amari doesn't realize is that we've been hearing that same thing that he's saying now all year long.
Right. Him.
Right. It's brand new to him, but it's what we've been saying all year long. Points left on the field. We got to get better. We got to execute. We got to do things more consistently. It works. Well, guess what, Amari? Every offense that every coach has ever put together, every play is supposed to score a touchdown. Every offense works if you execute it. The problem is the X's and O's and the Jimmies and Joes for this team are not cohesive and are not working together, and that's why you saw what you saw on Monday Night Football.
Which it is funny that it's Cooper saying that because it's his first game with the team. These are new problems for him, but we've heard and seen similar stuff for 2 months now.
Which is really interesting because that means, that means it's true, but maybe people's expectations need to change a little bit.
Expectation of what this offense can be? Yeah, well, I mean, you're halfway through and you haven't seen any of the improvements that you would have hoped for. So, yeah, I think you make a good point, Lynn.
Time to take a quick break. When we come back, where do you go from here? Let's get back to reality, where the Cowboys stand, and what they have coming up next week.
We're gonna win on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey Dallas Cowboys fans, I'm Danny Sarek at the AT&T Media Center. The Cowboys fell to the Titans 28-14 in their Monday night game at AT&T Stadium, making their record 3-5. Former Cowboys quarterback Troy Aikman had some choice words to say about the Cowboys needing big changes in order to improve going forward in the season. Aikman says it hasn't always mattered who the head coach has been. However, he feels there needs to be a complete overhaul of the entire organization. Coming up, the Cover 4 crew will talk about how the Cowboys' loss to the Titans will affect the rest of their season.
How will history define us?
The perfect size?
Perfect hair? Every box checked?
No, we set the tone.
We are works of art.
Who we are is not defined by what they say, but by what we create.
The legacy we build.
Fire in our souls.
We are strong.
We are unstoppable.
We are Cowboys fans.
You know, guys, you just can't help but think of last week or 2 weeks ago when they played last against Washington. They had a similar thing. They went right down the field and scored. Defense got to stop. They got the ball back, but they play some of their best football in these situations. And it reminds you, I could not stand when I played that. Don't wait. That's right. So it gets to this point. Some of this drop back game is some of the best things they do.
I was wondering how Jason Witten would approach calling his team's game.
He let us know.
6 months after the fact. I admire that. I admire his honesty. I think everything he said was spot on. But I was curious if he would be willing to go there, and he clearly was. Good for him.
Clearly was, guys, and we're going to talk of the town. Yeah, there's some stuff going on. I mean, this first thing, I was pretty, taken aback during the game at what happened here today.
Well, Dave just said that he was surprised that Witten went there. I was surprised that the Tennessee Titans went there, dancing on the star.
Look at Byron, all by himself. Okay, there they come. There they come. Back it up.
But Byron didn't wait, though. He's like, I'll take all 5 of y'all on. I don't care.
It's rude. So guys, we saw the Browns get a penalty for that touchdown of the, what was it, Crowell did that back then. Disrespectful, just the same. Now, something that was not disrespectful was DeMarcus Lawrence doing something in honor of the troops. He got the sack yesterday. That's $20,000 worth of candy going to the troops across the seas. That's always a good thing.
Snickers cleats on too. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I liked that. Now, Tyrone Crawford, we just saw him helping got his guys out. He's also giving a little shout out to his daughter with this custom suit.
That's
you
cute.
Can't see that D-Law also has inside, it's like his logo, DL90 or something.
I dig it. He is going in on the branding, and
Let's get to the real talk of the town, though.
The real talk of the town is number 88. Des Bryant has a workout with the Saints today. Now, nothing official. There's 2 other guys coming in with him for the Saints, but we know what's going on down there in New Orleans. it's a team that is on the right track, no doubt. So
let's talk about the fact that the Saints come in here in about 4 weeks.
I was just going to say they're on the right track, but they also will be here at AT&T Stadium on November 29th, which is already a spicy game with Sean Payton being in the building. Just add number 88.
This is the very best spot that Des Bryant can be. There's not another team in the National Football League that suits Des Bryant and what he can do and the quarterback that he needs, the offense that he needs, everything is the perfect storm for Des Bryant with the New Orleans Saints.
30 years old, guys. He's
oh yeah, happy birthday, 88. Yeah.
Oh, 30th year there, maybe.
Time for a little sound off. Wish you guys could have seen us in our production meeting because we were throwing out 50 billion topics that we could go for, but we're just going to the very bottom. All right, you hit rock bottom. You're at 3-5. You should have won that game big time yesterday. Where do you go from here?
That's an interesting phrasing, Linz, because I'm not ready to say this team is at rock bottom yet.
That was a little much.
This is the lowest point of the season, but it can obviously get worse. I mean, obviously.
You're right.
But the thing for me is we have not seen that. Taylor had the great stat at the start of the show. The Cowboys are not multiple games under 500 under Jason Garrett very often. This is the first time since 2015, first time they've been 3-5 since 2012, all that good type of stuff. Where do they elect to go? I think Dak Prescott even said it last night, is we have a choice to make. Do we claw back or does it get worse? And honestly, I don't know the answer because they haven't been in this position anytime in the recent past.
But when 2012, they were there, and then they had rattled off some wins.
Yeah.
Ended the season with more losses than wins. The only thing that I'm saying there, Dave, and I like what you're saying about the fact that they're not usually that many games below 500, that bothers me even more. I feel like Jesse and I have talked about this inconsistency of the team. It kind of creates the facade. And it's like, okay, if you go and you get the win against the Eagles, that's great because they're in your division and you need that win. But then you go and lay an egg in Atlanta. What do you do then?
Well, that's what makes it so curious for me. Is in past years you would say this team would have gotten the win against Tennessee. Like past Cowboys teams would get this easy home win, and then you probably trade wins and losses on the road. I haven't seen anything that gives me confidence that they can even go get one win on the road. And not right now.
And the biggest thing is that you don't have anybody on this team who you can hang your hat on. Sometimes you look at a quarterback and you say, all right, this quarterback can put this team on his back and go get a win. Or our coach can coach us to a victory. Or a side of the ball can go get a win for us. And for this football team, it seems like every week another hole has to be filled. As soon as you get one hole plugged up, here's another leak. You get that leak plugged up, and here's another leak. And in this league, you can't have that type of leakage week in and week out and think you're going to compete realistically, at least for a playoff spot, let alone for a Super Bowl.
I believe Jerry called it trying to hold Jell-O this morning on the radio. Two hands. Get something going here, falls out over here. Falling back to you, though, Jess, for OT. We are out of time.
Ooh. The Cowboys coming up for the month of November, they'll have 4 more games in less than 25 days. And it looks very bleak for them. November can be always a brutal time for the Cowboys because they always play on Thanksgiving. So that tail end of the season, it'll be the Redskins, it'll be the Saints, and it'll be Atlanta. And they'll have 3 games in about 11 days. So if they don't get on a winning way right now, November can be bye-bye month for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, man, Jesse, I was just about to say in honor of Election Day, I was going to elect to have a positive attitude as we go into a rivalry week. And the fact of the matter is that I think the Cowboys still have such a strong rivalry with the Eagles, but I'm just not ready to look ahead yet. I'm still going to sulk in this Tuesday, so just give me it.
I'm going to go the opposite, Tay, because if there's one positive that I can think of coming out of last night, it's that you're now on a short week. You played Monday night, right? You don't have time to dwell on this. You got Philly coming up in basically 5 days already. Now, the flip side of that is, do you have confidence it's going to go well? I don't know. That's on the Cowboys, but they don't have time to dwell on this. So at the very least, quick turnaround, wash it out of your mouth, and move on. It's the best I can do.
It's the best we can do right here. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We're here for you always. Let us know at Cover 4 how you're feeling. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode presented by JCPenney.